Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be reminded that this meeting may be audio and video recorded. I'd like to thank everybody for coming this evening. We're going to start off with student reports. I don't think we have any this evening. All right, so we'll move on to the Secretary's report. I'm looking for a motion and vote to approve school committee meeting minutes of 7/17/18.
So moved.
I have a motion by Wendy.
Second.
Second by Patricia. All those in favor?
Aye.
The chair votes aye. I'm looking for a motion to approve the payroll warrants. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Heather.
Second.
Second by Robert. All those in favor?
Mr. Chair, I have to recuse myself from this one.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. I'm looking for a motion to approve the payable warrants. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Heather.
Second.
Second by Wendy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Okay, do we have any citizens input this evening? I can't really see anybody out there, so if there is, just yell. Okay, superintendent's report. Dr. Hahi.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. I'd like to take an opportunity to introduce, as I am one of 40 superintendents throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts taking part in the new Superintendent Induction program. It's hard to believe it's been some 40-plus days, 45 days to date since I started, but yeah, I'm the new guy. So for lack of a better way of putting it, there are 40 of 41 new superintendents taking part in the new Superintendent Induction program, thanks to your wonderful support of not only myself, but the coaching and mentoring that I receive. I have the good fortune of introducing you to my coach, Miss Patty Grenier. Miss Patty Grenier is a veteran, a retired superintendent who travels throughout Massachusetts and is overseeing a smaller cohort of the 40 individuals. There's about 6 or 7 of us in our cohort that she works with. I'd like to take a moment to introduce her and give her an opportunity to speak to the committee, if that's okay. So without further ado, Mrs. Grenier.
Podium's not.
Have the podium working?
What if she comes right up here on, because there's a microphone at the end?
Is that okay? Excellent.
Can I sit? So I don't have to stand. Hi, nice to meet you. So I just, very briefly, I just want to give you a perspective of my work. I work with, in a partnership with the Mass Association of School Superintendents and the Department of Ed, the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. 9 years ago, a program was started to support brand new superintendents. So the only people in our program are new superintendents. So if someone changes a district and they've been a superintendent for 6 years and they're just going to another district, they're not a new superintendent. So over the course of, I've been involved in the program for 8 years. This is the start of my 8th year. We've had nearly, I'd say close to 250 superintendents go through the program, which is huge because it is now permeating Massachusetts, and it was designed to help superintendents focus on improving student learning and not get lost, understandably, in all of what the authors of our book, Liz City from Harvard and a national consultant, Rachel Curtis, I worked with them, what they say, the noise in the district. And having been a superintendent for over a dozen years, I do know how quickly you can get pulled in many different directions. So the program is 8 content days in the first year, 5 content days in the second year, and 3 content days in the third year. And then in the first year, 6 hours of executive coaching individually a month, then 4 hours a month, and then a different format in year 3. So hopefully Paul's and my work together, you'll see the results of that. And I will say over the 8 years that I've been doing this, I've learned to be a better coach. And it's not the Bill Belichick model, but we do give real feedback. It's more than mentoring. There are times when we really push our superintendents because we want to ensure their success. So hopefully my 36 years in public education will help me, and Paul will help me get better too. So we learn from one another. And I'm excited. Just on a personal note, my husband's from Spencer, and I lived here for a while. I haven't for a very long time. I actually, Michael and I live on Cape Cod and have for almost 20 years. So, but I don't come over the bridge lightly, so I'm happy to come over for Paul. So thank you for welcoming me. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Any questions that I could answer for anyone?
Was he a good student?
Paul? Yeah. So one of the things I do, I sort of do double, is I do the training. There are two of us that do the training, so I do a majority of the training. So, yeah, I feel bad for the people I coach because they kind of get a double hit of me. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, just for what it's worth, last session was this past Friday, and she happens to use a chime to give us a little reminder that there's like a minute or two left before this particular work or exercise that we're doing. So she hits the chime, and I said, we're going to take that from you. So at some point, if the chime winds up missing, I've already kind of given myself up, and I understand that that's just, going to have to happen, because there's 41 of us, and after a while, we're like mice. You hear the bell, you get the cheese, get the cracker, so Pavlov's dog.
Pavlov's, yeah.
And yeah. But no, it's wonderful working with Ms. Grenier, and I'm very, very fortunate and grateful to have the opportunity to be a part of that program. So thank you very much. It's as a result of the work in that program that I was able over the summer to kind of start working on an entry plan. At the end of last meeting, and as part of the packet tonight, the committee has my entry plan. I am very excited as I work to get to know the communities of Spencer and East Brookfield, to get to meet as many of the stakeholders as is possible. As you read through the plan and have had that opportunity, Missy Farrow, the executive assistant, has posted it on the website for me, and I get a lot of fun emails and replies blind from people I don't know asking to meet, and that's pretty excellent. So I'm very grateful for that, and encourage the committee and other stakeholders within both communities to feel free to reach out and let me know of a time they're available, because I want to meet as many people as possible as I work on my entry plan and do the entry work. My sincere goal and expectation is that I have a findings report for the committee at the start of the new year, January, February, that I can bring forward about the things that I've learned about not only the two towns, but our regional school district, and really kind of help drive some of our, not only school improvement work, but our district improvement work in the years ahead. So it's an excellent opportunity for me to kind of enter the district in a meaningful way and go slow so that later on we can go fast, for lack of a better way of saying it. Next, under superintendent's report, we have the meet, greet, and eat with the superintendent tomorrow evening. That'll be taking place at Knox Trail, 5:30 to 6:45 at Knox Trail. We have approximately 25 people that have confirmed or RSVP'd thus far. I'm sure that number is bound to go up between now and tomorrow. But I remind the community and those here this evening that event will be taking place tomorrow at Knox Trail, beginning at 5:30 in the cafeteria. And finally, I had the good fortune of speaking with the MSBA, not only today, but over the last couple weeks. They politely let me know that they've been reading our press clippings, and we're rather excited to see that I had the opportunity to not only engage East Brookfield a couple weeks ago, but also meet with the selectmen last night. So they're paying very close attention to the work at hand that we are seeing as vital for the future of our district. The MSBA confirmed that they will be here Thursday at 9 a.m. For their site visit. They are extremely interested in seeing all of us working together in a spirit of cooperation for the David Prouty renovation project and to review the statement of interest. They'd like to do a meeting first and would like to then move on to a site visit, literally a walkthrough of the facility to get an update on what's been done at the local level since the last time we were here a few years ago, and what the scope and sequence of the work going forward could look like. This is an excellent opportunity for us to really shine and show that we are united as one district and have an opportunity to do something really spectacular for our students here at David Prouty and for our regional school district. They are really wanting to know, in no uncertain terms, what's different from the last time they were here. And I think there's been outstanding growth and development over the last few years, and we have a lot to be proud of to show off. So what I would ask of the committee is, we had sent invitations to our boards of selectmen, state reps, and state senator, our financial overseer, and others. I would ask that the committee reach back to their stakeholders in Spencer and East Brookfield to make sure we're all in the room as one voice and speaking from the same song sheet about the need for this project. Very, very exciting times. If we do a great job, whether it be in December, February, or April, they will be doing a staggered invitation to the feasibility study phase. And the director will be coming to speak to us about that and what that would include should we make it past site visit. We are one of 35 left. Originally, this time in June, there were 70 people in the queue, and we're down to the final 35. So I think they understand the urgency and the need. The Mass School Building Authority, like I said, has been paying very close attention and has done an exceptional job in communicating with us operationally, and it's now time for us just to kind of peacock and shake our tail feathers a little bit, especially where we've done so many wonderful things, not only in the last month or two, but in the last 3 years. I think there's a lot to be proud of here, and show off a little. So it's exciting times for us as a district. Are there any questions, comments, queries, or concerns I can answer for the committee at this time?
My only question, Paul, and maybe Gary will answer it in his update on the work at Prouty. Are we going to be able to see the work that was currently done with the asbestos abatement in the A building?
Do you want to speak to that?
Sure.
I know, maybe I'm jumping.
And I'll go into more detail later, but currently, there were 3 or 4 areas that were being abated. They're on the last area now, which is the cafeteria. Tomorrow, they'll be taking down the barriers on the other areas of the project, so we will be able to get into, probably not the cafeteria,
Okay.
until we get air clearance tests back, but the rest of the A building will be open.
Great.
I have one question. If you said it, excuse me, but did you say when we would get feedback from them after the visit as to
The next,
approval?
yeah, the next phase, so originally the point person was Mrs. Diane Sullivan. She had indicated a December invitation would be extended if we were to move on. Today, the contact that I was with is a different lady, Katie. She's wonderful and works hand in glove with Diane. Unfortunately, Diane has stepped away for a little bit to deal with other matters. So what Katie clarified today in our conference call, literally while Mr. Suter was in taking a walkthrough of the site today, I was on the conference call with them, and they had indicated that it would be a staggered invitation that could be December, February, or April.
Okay.
If we were to do a good job and do exactly what we need to do come this Thursday, they would extend an invitation. Now, Diane's statement to me earlier was December.
Okay.
That is not necessarily the case. It could be a February invitation for feasibility study or April, and any of those 3 dates could be on the table. But again, I think it's our ability to show that not only are we ready, but we're well prepared for the project, and doing so in a concerted, unified manner. That's key here.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Dr. Hahi, other than the context that us as a committee, should make, what are we letting these stakeholders know other than unification?
We want to make sure they understand the importance of the project and ask that they be in attendance and, being in support of us with regard to the project
Will
itself.
MSBA be questioning them, like talking to them?
I would expect them to ask very direct and open and upfront question and answer sessions in our meeting, yes.
Okay.
And there will be a conversational style meeting at first, and then a walkthrough of the facility to be the formatting in terms of what we're expected and what we should expect.
Okay.
So, just so everyone knows.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Financial report. Gary?
So soon. So just to start, there are no transfers tonight, so that makes that portion of it easier. Just a little reformatting of the monthly expenditure report. The first several columns are all having to do with the budget, and I just want to, there's a couple changes there. So the first column says original budget. That's what was approved by the committee and voted and approved by both communities. That second column is something new, prior year encumbrances, and pretty much what that represents are the appropriations that the committee made from E&D. And we didn't complete those projects by the end of June, so we're carrying them or encumbering them into the new year. So we'll track those separately. And then we've been doing this for several years, but the way the budget's adopted, the superintendent can approve transfers within a cost center. So it doesn't increase or decrease the bottom line of each cost center, each school, but we're going to show those separately, so you'll know as a committee what we've done outside of the transfers that are approved here. And then, of course, we have the school committee transfers. We show previously approved in one column, and then the proposed transfers that we bring to the meeting in the next. So then we get a total transfer column, and then the amended budget is a combination of all those columns across the top. And the rest is pretty much the same. So you'll see on the first page, the superintendent did approve a cost center transfer to fund the balance of the information officer's salary, which was changed in the budget last year, and we restored that salary. So we took the money from technology hardware line, so within that cost center. As it's only been, a month into the new budget, there isn't a whole lot to talk about at this point. You can see that any line items that are in a deficit are in red, and I did that for Heather. And then I did put some green at the top just to make it look pretty. But down at the bottom of the first page, I draw your attention to the network technology contracted services. So it's showing a shortfall of $50,000. In reality, that's the line that we pay the Spectrum charges for internet connectivity for the district, and we are waiting for the E-rate to come through on that bill. So that amount is the encumbered amount is overstated. Once the E-rate comes through and it gets reflected on the Spectrum bill, we should be back to we should have a balance remaining in that. But as it stands right now, we don't know what that charge is, so that's why that shows as a shortfall. So the rest of district-wide is in pretty good shape. School choice, charter school tuition, no problems yet. Third page is Wire Village School. Everything's great shape there. Then we go on to Knox Trail, no problems there. East Brookfield, pretty straightforward. High School, pretty straightforward. Then we come to the third to last page, which is Special Education. So as we started last year, we start again this year tracking tuition to private schools and tuition to collaboratives. And as was with last year, we're seeing an increase in move-ins to the district and students that require services that we cannot provide within the district. So those are the students that get tuitioned out. So as it stands now, based upon what we know for enrollment, we're looking at about a $460,000 shortfall between those two lines combined. But the superintendent and myself and Kara Westerman have been looking at that and reviewing options, and the plan is to try and get that deficit cut in half by making some structural changes to how we do things, either with transportation or trying to bring students back. And then we'll try to make up the other half by transferring some funds within other lines in the budget. And then the last two pages, the facilities and grounds report, and again, everything's in great shape there. On the last page, you'll notice that Wire Village electric account and the East Brookfield electric account are in deficits. And again, that's because of the way the credits come through for our solar metering credits. You'll notice that the high school has a surplus in their line of $58,000. And Knox Trail has a surplus. So the four electricity lines combined are in a surplus, and once we see the credits come through in the next month or so, we'll readjust those budgets so that they'll reflect properly. So as it stands today, we're in pretty good shape, and we'll keep an eye on those out-of-district tuition costs, and we'll work on getting that cut in half.
Can I ask a couple of questions?
Sure.
Is that okay? All right. Do we have any idea about final numbers from the state or when that's going to be?
I haven't heard that there's anything passed yet, a final budget. We did see a budget, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks ago, that indicated that there was a small amount of additional funding in like Chapter 70, nothing that's going to change our lives.
All right. Because I saw something in the New Leader, I think it was Senator Goby with regional transportation, that it was like 73% funded last year, and this
Right.
year they're increasing it to 80%, so I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, they tend to say that every year, and then when it
Okay.
gets down to the final vote, it goes back, but we'll ask her on Thursday.
Okay, just curious. And then the circuit breaker reimbursement, doesn't that usually come in October?
Yeah, it actually comes in, there's 3 payments, and the first one comes in October. Right.
So would that cover some of the deficit we have with some of these out-of-district?
Yeah, we hope, we should be seeing more circuit breaker reimbursement because we had more costs that were eligible for circuit breaker last year. The downside to that is we had to use more circuit breaker last year to cover last year's deficits than we normally would. So we're starting out this year with a smaller balance in that account. So that's the kind of stuff we'll manage as we go through the year and try to make it all work.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Actually, Jay, I have a question on the transfer. Gary, on the transfer itself, I believe it came out of computer software. I believe the line item that the 27 came out of?
Came out of computer hardware.
Okay, well, does that affect the curriculum that was supposed to be purchased or anything like that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Does that affect the purchase of the new curriculum?
No.
All right, so
No,
that's-
we were able to make some changes within that hardware line, and some of the items that we had budgeted for, we purchased in June,
Okay,
so we were able to make that work.
I'm sorry about that. So that's hardware only, that's the
Yep.
line that it came out? Okay,
Yep.
got it, thank you.
Any other questions from the committee? Okay, next item, Gary.
So Eric and I met with, well, I should take a step back. We put out an RFQ, a request for qualifications for performance-based contractors, as we've been talking about this, to get a vendor in here to help the district evaluate its current utility costs, recommend some savings, and then use those savings to pay for improvements to those same systems. So as it turned out, we got two vendors responded to the RFQ. We had Honeywell Corporation and Siemens Corporation. Eric Heavey and I met with both of them last Friday. We interviewed both companies. They brought several representatives. And quite honestly, both companies are extremely qualified. They've been doing this for a long time. They're large companies. They're in great shape financially. And either one can do the job very well. What it really came down to for the district, as you know, we've got some things going on at Proudy that need to be done sort of quickly. And so we're going to recommend that the district go with Siemens Corporation as they were best equipped to meet our timelines, to get kids back into school and to make sure things are safe in the buildings and that sort of thing. So it's our recommendation that the committee go with Siemens Corporation. What will happen is if the committee votes to go with Siemens, we'll enter into a contract with them to do an investment-grade audit. So they'll come in and they will get into some great details in every building with all our utility costs, and then they'll come back and they'll make some recommendations to us as to where they think we can save money, and it'll be up to us as a district to decide which projects we want to focus on, where the savings are, what the payback is, and then how we want to take that savings and use it to upgrade other things in the district. We'll be able to focus on roofs, windows, boilers, heating systems, pretty much anything that has to do with the building itself and the envelope of the building.
So, looking for a motion then to move forward with the recommendation of the performance. What's that?
I have a question.
Yes.
Siemens, were they also the lowest bidder, or they weren't?
So the RFQ is really just and both vendors expressed it this way, it's sort of a beauty contest. There's no money involved.
Okay.
Because we're not really paying them anything. They're providing their service.
That's right.
They'll manage the projects as we go. So it's really about a best fit for the district and what we think can meet our needs the best.
Okay, thank you.
Is it still, I'm sorry, Through the chair. Is it still necessary to do an RFQ even when there's not a fee involved?
There is, in this situation, the Department of Energy Resources requires us to put out an RFQ. There's a whole process.
Okay.
And they actually provide us with a standard RFQ that we used. Yep.
So if this vote does go forward, Gary, what's the timeline? When would Siemens be starting?
We plan to meet with them by the end of this week and talk about timelines as far as the boiler goes and what our next step would be to get this thing moving.
I guess you'll get to that next. I'll ask, okay. So looking for a motion to move forward with the recommendation of the performance-based contract vendor, Siemens. Do I have a motion?
So moved?
Motion by Robert,
Second?
seconded by Patricia. All those in favor?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda has to do with increasing the fee that we charge for school lunches. As you know, we have a new school lunch food service director, and she's been working with the former director and looking at what we charge for school lunches. And as you know, the food service department needs to be self-sufficient. They need to collect enough money between what they charge for lunches and what we get for reimbursement from the state to cover the cost of running that program. Up until this past year, it's been touch and go. It's been pretty close to a break even. But this past year, as we ended up with about a $37,000 shortfall in that account, which we'll have to make up somehow, either through E&D and restore the funds to that account. But in addition to that, there's some federal regulations that require that in order to continue to receive federal funding, we need to charge a certain amount of for a lunch above like the national average, and we haven't been doing that. So when they did the analysis, the national average was $2.78. We've been charging $2.75. So we actually should have raised this maybe a year or two ago, raised the prices on lunches. So unfortunately, because of the deficit and because of the regulations, I think it's time to look at raising the prices on the school lunches. Paula Caldwell, who is the food service director, did reach out to other districts. What we would be proposing to charge is in line with what everybody else is charging. And this will probably make up less than $10,000 of the deficit. So it'll increase our revenues by about $10,000. But again, that's subject to participation in the lunch program and so forth. So based upon what she has given me, right now, the K through 8 breakfast is currently $1.50, and she's proposing to leave it at $1.50, so there's no change in that. K through 8 lunch is currently $2.75. She's recommending that we increase by 25 cents to $3. The high school 9 through 12 lunch is $3, and she would also recommend to move that to $3.25. The adult breakfast is $2 currently, and she would recommend raising that to $2.50. And the adult lunch is $3.75, and we would raise that by 25 cents as well to $4. And we would need approval from the committee to raise those prices.
Heather?
I guess I'm not opposed to an increase in the school lunches. I understand the need for it. I guess I'm more concerned about the $37,000 deficit. Do we know what caused that deficit? Are there less students buying lunch? Was there an increase in the cost of food? Were there unpaid balances? Do we know why we ended up in such a deficit?
All of that.
Okay.
No, so honestly,
Curious.
with declining enrollment, we've got declining participation in the program. In addition to that, the way our cafeteria workers are paid, they're part of Unit C, and we have a unique situation where they get paid for vacation time. Most districts, I don't think, pay school year employees vacation time, so that's about a $20,000 item that comes out of that account that normally wouldn't. And honestly, the unpaid lunches at the end of this last school year, it was really low. It was under $400.
Okay.
So, the revenue in that program is probably $375,000 a year. So to end up with a $400 balance of unpaid lunches is pretty good.
Right.
They do a great job working with the students and the parents to keep it up to date. Paula and I also looked at this upcoming school year and what we anticipate things to look like. And based on the new Unit C contract and and we're anticipating the level cost for food and supplies, but we're anticipating another $31,000 shortfall in that account. So I'm going to work with Paula to look at staffing issues and how we can do things differently to see if we can get that down. But until participation goes up, it's going to continue to be a problem.
Question. Is the participation down because of the enrollment, or is it, I mean, if you were to look at it percentage-wise, do we have less of a percentage of students who buy lunch, no matter how many students you have?
I don't know about past percentages, but I do know, in talking with Michelle, the former director, that she saw a decline in people participating, like just not buying lunch,
Right.
bringing lunch. So we have to do a better job. Students that qualify for free and reduced lunches, we need to get them signed up, help the parents sign, fill out the forms, so that kids can eat. Sometimes that's the best meal they get all day. So the new director is working on that now, and once these prices are, solidified, then she can go forward with those applications.
So you're looking for an increase of 25 cents across the board?
Right, except for the adult breakfast.
For the adult breakfast.
And was there a reason
adult-
no increase on the breakfast? What made you come up with, 50 cents on the adult breakfast, but none on the student breakfast? I just wondered how you came to that.
She did an analysis on that, and it looked
Okay.
like the participation and what they were serving and what they were taking in was covering the cost of that, so she didn't feel there was a need for that.
Okay.
So she has numbers based on how many people buy lunch each day, at each grade level, and
Yeah, and-
staffing and...
Yeah, and actually, I think the reason this was delayed was because last year we did the point-of-sale system. So prior to that, we really didn't have any good data to base anything on. It was all handwritten, chicken scratch. But now, we have real data. We know how many kids purchase lunch. We know what we're collecting. We know how many free and reduced we have. So
Okay.
we're in a better position to make this recommendation.
When I read the notes, she stated in the notes that she took a national average.
Right.
Is it possible maybe to look at what the city average, like compare our city size or our town size to other, like, we're close to Worcester, close to Boston.
Right.
So when you start taking into account Maine and such like that, if you start looking at smaller areas where that can bring down that number too. I'm just curious, when I saw that and she said, it said national, I believe.
Right.
I was just curious to see if that would have brought the number down as well.
And she is much more of an expert at this than I, but it's my understanding that because we participate in the federal lunch program and reimbursements, we're required to look at that national average.
Okay, understood.
And we're required to be a certain amount above that if we want to continue to get reimbursed.
Got it. Thank you very much, Gary.
Shows it on carries, they, a little bit better.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion to increase the school lunches. I don't have the right page up, so it's tough for me to make a motion. So there's only one 50-cent increase, Gary, correct?
Right, and that affects just the adults.
Just the adult breakfast. So we're looking for a motion to increase the school lunch by 25 cents and the adult breakfast by 50 cents. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Martha,
Second?
second by Robert. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Okay, Gary, next item on the agenda.
How is it that I get more time than the superintendent?
You're just lucky, I guess.
What's wrong with that? So I'm going to give you an update on everything that's going on capital project-wise, and as you can see, included in the report, Eric Heavey had provided me with an update, and him and I have been working pretty closely along with the superintendent to keep abreast of all the things that are happening. There's a lot of moving parts right now at David Prouty High School. So as you know, we awarded a contract to CJM Services for asbestos abatement in the A building. We've completed the administrative offices, so everything from where you walk into the front office all the way to the nurse's room, except for the safe, which is a very, very small area. The ceiling tiles have been removed. The asbestos on the heating ducts, whatever was there, has been removed, and the floor tiles have also been removed. We've had the Floor tiles have been replaced with carpeting tiles. The office is being completed, the painting is being completed as we speak. Furniture has been ordered, so they'll have new furniture in that whole space. So that is done. They've also completed the entryway, so when you walk in the front on the front of the high school, the ceilings have all been removed, all the way down to the back corridor. Tomorrow, they are going to clear the back corridor. They've done all that as well, to remove the ceiling tiles, and they've completed the 2 or 3 music rooms that are down at the end of the hall there. Music rooms had ceilings removed and floor tiles removed. In the actual band room, we're replacing the floor tiles with carpeting to keep the sound down, and tile in the other rooms, and they're going to start working on that probably tomorrow afternoon. And then, as we speak, the abatement company is actually working in the cafeteria, so they just started that late yesterday afternoon. That's probably a two-day schedule to get that done. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we have to send air samples out to be tested, and that'll probably happen on Thursday, which is why we most likely won't be able to get into the cafeteria with MSBA. So we'll be in pretty good shape with the A building. Again, we will not have ceiling tiles replaced at this point in time. So the ceilings are going to be open to the roof. The rafters will show kind of like the Innovation Lab. The only difference is, you'll notice in the offices, the hallway, I'm not sure about the cafeteria, there's a lot going on above the ceiling. We've got a lot of computer wiring, cabling that's being run up there. That'll all be bundled up and hung from the rafters. So it'll be neat, but it's still going to show. So at some point, as part of the performance contracting, we should probably, that would be one of the first orders of business we want them to do, is to replace the lighting and the ceiling tiles in that part of the building. Rear corridor and classrooms, I already mentioned that. We should be good. Cafeteria's on its way. The boiler abatement. So we have been talking for several years about the need to replace the boilers at the high school. They're original to the building. We saw signs of failure in the last few years where we've had some touch-and-go situations where we weren't sure if they were, when they went off, if they'd come back on. So we did have our ATC, our abatement company, helped us put a bid together. We bid the job. On August 8th, we opened up bids. We had 4 bidders for the abatement of the boilers. Bay State Contracting from Springfield bid $28,950. Triton Leasing and Rental from Feeding Hills, Mass. bid $61,300. Encore Contracting from Lawrence bid $66,250. And Abide from East Long Meadow bid $75,600. We originally took the bids under advisement. Our ATC representatives spoke with Bay State Contracting, and as a result of that, they withdrew their bid. They had priced their bid spec, and they didn't base it on prevailing wage. So if they hadn't withdrawn, we would have had to reject it. So the next lowest bid is Triton Leasing and Rental, $61,300. We would recommend or request that the committee approve awarding the contract to Triton Leasing and Rental so we can get that boiler room cleaned up, get the existing boilers that are covered with asbestos out. They'll clean that room out. We'll put new boilers in. The new boilers will be the first order of business for the performance contractors. We talked with both companies about that on Friday when we interviewed them. And in talking with Mr. Heavey and ATC, we feel it's best. Originally we had thought we were going to take out the existing boilers, bring in a new boiler. It's just too much, it leaves too much to chance, and we don't want to leave students without heat or staff. So we believe we can install new boilers in the existing boiler room with the old boilers still there. Once they're in place, we'll abate the old boilers. As we speak today and tomorrow, they'll be installing a new gas line that'll lead to the high school. So we'll have the gas line installed. It'll be ready to connect to the new boilers. So we'll install the new boilers. Gas line will be there. We'll bring in the abatement company. We'll get the old boilers out, clean the boiler room up, and then we'll bring in a contractor that installs the boilers. We'll then connect the gas, and we'll test it out. And all should be well by October 15th, which is the day we're required to have heat in the building. Like I said, a lot going on. I got to give a shout to Eric. who did a great job pulling this all together because it's been crazy, dealing with all these contractors. The contractor at the high school's done a great job keeping everybody on track. We've got a week left to get this thing wrapped up, and it looks like we're going to make it. So everybody's done a great job, and Eric's done a phenomenal job pulling it all together.
Now, Gary, is there a difference in the company that does the abatement for, you know, the other parts of the A building versus the company that does abatement for the boiler room? Why don't we use the same company? Is that?
They chose not to bid. We were hoping that they would bid on it, but honestly, in talking with the general contractor, the abatement company, they've been working like 7 days a week. They've been in there Monday through Friday and all day Saturday and most of Sunday, so they're pretty burnt out.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to take on more work than they could, you know, in case they couldn't make the deadlines. So they chose not to bid on it. Triton Leasing and Rental, we actually used them a couple of years ago when we had the leaks in the B building, so they've been to the district, they know what's involved, they know that we're under scrutiny by the state, so they know exactly what they have to do. ATCR's abatement contractor helped us vet them out, and they've talked to them, so everything's good to go with them.
Does the committee have any other questions for Gary about the update? So we're looking for a motion to move forward with Triton Leasing and Rental for the boiler abatement. I have a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Michael,
Second.
second by Heather. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just finish up with, I think everybody's seen the pictures for the boys and girls, mostly the boys' locker room.
Yep.
Lockers look great. Tennis courts as well. Tennis courts are done. So, as the superintendent said, we have a lot of reasons to be banging our chests and being proud of what's happening. Sometimes it's happening so fast we just can't get the word out, but I think the Facebook posts are great, get people to see what's going on, but the locker rooms really came out good. And we'll be finishing up the girls' locker rooms shortly.
Yeah, they did look great. Any other questions or concerns? All right,
I'd just like to echo a similar sentiment, as has already been mentioned by the school business administrator, comptroller, Mr. Suter, in that the gentlemen have really worked hard to get our buildings in shape. I've been posting a lot of photos of Wire Village and third floor, first floor, the locker rooms. Whenever somebody sends something, I'm working really hard to try and get that information out there on our Facebook account and Twitter account. Our participation has spiked exponentially. We went from literally one weekend, 3 people on the page, on Facebook in particular, to now over 425, and it's continuing to climb. So the more content people send, I'll continue to post, but it is an effort to kind of let people know the great work that our, not only the custodians and the director of facilities and maintenance, but all of the members of our team internal to the operation are really putting forward this summer to get our school in the best shape it can be, and our district in the best shape it can be for school open. And I want to compliment them for all their hard work publicly. When I see them, I tell them when I see them in the halls or wherever, but it really isn't doing justice. Those photos are only showing half of what's really happened. I mean, there's a lot that's been done in a small window of time. This summer is the smallest window of time these guys have had to turn, or ladies have had to turn over work. Usually, the custodians and the teams and crews that come into a district have minimum 10 weeks, sometimes 11 weeks, and we, because of the winter that we just had, really only have 8. I've been extremely impressed with the work that's been getting done internal. They've been really killing themselves, and just want to say thank you to everyone for putting forward their best effort in terms of getting us ready, and looking forward to the opening of the year. But these highlights that Mr. Suter's brought forward this evening don't do justice. I mean, there's been a lot of great things happening, and I just can't thank our custodians and our different crews and contractors and whatnot coming in. And yes, we've kept the challenge on them by trying to support them at the same time. So it's not just about challenging someone, it's also giving them resource and support as well. And again, it's a team effort, and I'm very grateful to them for all that they've done as well. So I just wanted to echo Mr. Suter's sentiments.
Thank you. Okay, new business, personnel report. You all had a chance to look at that, that's for review only. Policy manual. We're on to our second reading, but we were going to have a small discussion on file BEDA.
So we do have, thank you, Mr. Chair, if I may. We do have Tracy back again this evening for the second reading. BEDA specific is about notification of school committee meetings. We had discussion at the last meeting about whether we wanted to post our school committee meetings on our website, as opposed to notifying the town clerk in each town, where we may be held hostage if an office was closed on a Friday and then we weren't able to get the meeting posted in a timely manner with 48 hours notice. If we were to implement this policy, it is my understanding, after looking at the policy manual in great detail, we could post 8 o'clock tonight and be ready in 48 hours to meet again a couple days from now at 8 p.m. and not violate law. The question for our school committee this evening and why it was put back on for discussion during second read, and Tracy, if I'm misspeaking, please correct me. I'm happy to take any technical assistance or guidance you have. But MASC has been really great in kind of walking us through this. If we choose to do this, it just gives us more flexibility as a region and as an independent entity to kind of notify the public in a timely manner of our intent to meet and conduct school business effectively and efficiently. And that's the reason it's put back on. I believe at this point, we've answered through Mrs. O'Connell-Novick all of the other items, but this one for second was something that we wanted to come back to for the committee to discuss. So with that, I just wanted to frame the conversations so that everybody knew what we were looking at on this particular policy this evening.
So I would have to agree with Dr. Hahi, if it gives us more flexibility, it only would make sense. Tracy, if we do go forward with this change in this policy, would tonight be considered first read just for this policy, or can we put it into this?
I would say that that's at the discretion of the committee. You did actually bring it up at your last
Right.
meeting in passing and say that you would have your full discussion on this one. So I'd say that there was some public notification already.
Okay.
And to Dr. Hawley's point, because you are a regional school district, you do operate as an independent entity. The AG's office has ruled that you do have the option of, on a vote of the committee, deciding that that will be your public posting.
Thank you. Does the committee have any questions for Tracy about this policy, or any comments, or?
Makes sense.
I just want to be clear. So it's really giving us the flexibility we need as an independent entity to kind of function as we need to around the needs of the district and the needs of the students that we serve.
Yep.
So when school committee business is needing to be called in a timely manner, we have that ability to do that by posting on the website, for instance, as opposed to going through the town clerk's office, and maybe the town office in Spencer is open and maybe the town clerk's office isn't. Just to be clear, it's really about giving ourselves the breathing room to do what it is we're charged with doing, fiduciary policy or the like.
I do have a question. Unfortunately, I wasn't at the last meeting. I have to ask Missy this. Missy, have you been posting since, like, you took over the position? Have you been posting at the town halls? Well, this pretty much is the way we've been doing it, right? Okay, that's what I thought.
Right.
In this way, you'll be formally on record as having adopted it, so you'll be covered all the way across
Right.
the board. But, and also, as Dr. Howie's mentioning, a lot of regional school districts are doing it in part because town offices are not always open
Right.
for days or hours or that kind of thing.
I remember when I was doing it, I used to run into problems often, especially for those last-minute meetings
Yes.
that came up. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, so from what we're talking about tonight, we're just going to be like amending the last sentence of this, of this policy, and, yeah, just to basically get it in line with what we've been doing.
Yeah, correct.
So is that an individual vote, Tracy, or?
I would take that vote separately because you haven't actually voted that policy language. So vote that language and then vote to adopt the full policy manual.
Okay. You want me to read the whole policy?
Why don't you read the sentence that you're changing?
Which is the last, correct?
Yes.
So we're looking for a motion to change file BEDA policy, which is a notification of school committee meetings. The last sentence, notification of a change in a regular meeting time, place, or agenda, and notification including agenda of a special meeting will be filed with the town clerk at least 48 hours in advance as required by law.
And as a result, it would read, Mr. Chair, instead of with the town clerk, through the school district website or through public notification through...
That would be the updated one.
Yeah, correct. That'd be the change for that sentence.
Okay. So we have a motion?
So moved. Oh,
Wow.
go ahead.
Motion by Mike,
Second.
second by Heather. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. So now we need a second reading on the policy manual, and after the second reading, we're going to be pretty much online, right?
It will take a bit for us to
Yeah, right.
upload it, but for your part will be done.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm looking for a motion for the policy manual for our second read.
So moved.
Motion by Martha,
Second.
second by Michael. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. And I'd also like to thank Tracy Novick for all your hard work. Thank you very much through this whole process, which started, I think, 2 years ago.
Which, by the way, most districts take 3, so you should be proud. You guys moved right along.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tracy.
Can you imagine?
Okay, the next agenda topic is field trips. East Brookfield Elementary School, 6th grade, Washington DC trip. Anybody? Oh,
Here she is.
sorry, I can't see. Sure.
I actually have this itinerary, is it okay if I pass that out? It's from this past year's trip.
It says that my grandson will be going on this.
I can sit.
It's up to you.
Okay.
Completely up to you.
For anybody that doesn't know me, my name is Chrissy Lavin, and I teach 6th grade in East Brookfield. I am here to seek your approval to take our 6th grade students to Washington DC, April 8th to the 12th, 2019. This experience for our 6th graders is chaperoned by staff members. Mr. Tomlin also goes. The activities that the students complete before, during, and after their trip covers a multitude of standards within their curriculum. This includes creating booklets ahead of time of the many sites that we'll visit. The students bring these booklets with them each day, and sometimes we add facts that may not be in there just so they have them there. When we return, each student will create a news broadcast based on one of the places that we visited. They will use our new green screen in the makerspace area, along with the iPad minis to tape the broadcast. And we showed 2 of those at the June meeting, so you get to see what it would be like. Within our 5 jam-packed days on the trip, we do so many things that stay with the children forever. Very careful planning goes into everything, such as where we stay, what we eat, and what we see. As you can see on the sample itinerary for the week, the students visit the Washington Monument, the Lincoln, Jefferson, Korean, Vietnam, World War II, FDR, and Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial. We toured the Holocaust Museum, specifically the exhibit Remember the Children Daniel's Story, which is geared towards the student's age level. And it tells the story of one family's experiences during the Holocaust from the perspective of a boy growing up in Nazi Germany between 1933 and 1945. The students also have a chance to tour the Capitol building. Some years we do get to meet Congressman Neal, depending on the time. If it's around Easter break, he's usually not there. But he does, in some years we've been able to talk to him, and he does a very fantastic sit down with the kids, talks to them about his job and how they can become active members in their community. One of the most memorable parts of the trip is visiting Arlington National Cemetery. The students get to visit and pay their respects at the grave sites of John F. Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, Ted Kennedy, and many other prominent figures in U.S. history. Each year we apply for, and I'm happy to say that we have once again been selected to have 4 of our students lay a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. This is an incredible honor for these students, their families, the school, and the district. This is a trip that will stay ingrained in these students' memories for many years to come. Washington, D.C. encompasses an array of historical and cultural attractions that make this school trip one of the most diverse educational experiences for our students. I've also attached, if I could present it tonight, we've done, for about 4 years, we've done a golf tournament as our first big fundraiser. The student trip, every student obviously has the opportunity to go, so the fundraising does help defray the cost for the trip. It is averaging about $750 per student. So this is our first big fundraiser, and I'd like to present that as well, and if anybody would like to play, it is a fun day. Or if you'd just like to come, join us, have lunch, that would be fantastic as well. I don't know if you had any questions about the trip.
Not questions, just comments. Thank you so much for doing this year after year. As you know, my class was the first trip, the class that went on this trip. My daughter just went on the trip this past year, and she's been talking about it all summer. So I just want to once again say thank you to the staff at East Brookfield Elementary for being willing to work beyond the contractual hours to provide enriching opportunities for our kids. So thank you.
And we thank you for allowing us to go over here.
So, looking for a motion to approve the 6th grade Washington DC trip on April 8th to the 12th, 2019. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Heather,
Second.
second by Wendy. All those in favor?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. We're also looking for a motion and vote to approve the DC Drive Golf Tournament. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Patricia,
Second.
second by Wendy. All those in favor?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chrissy.
David Prouty High School Spain trip. Mrs. York.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
So we've previously given you the paperwork on the study abroad in Salamanca, España, next summer. The hope is for 3 weeks of study abroad for the students who sign up. We don't yet have the information about the flights, but they will be the only additional cost. The small cost per student under $2,000 will cover boarding with a Spanish family in pairs from Prouty, so it'll be pairs of Prouty students together. Classes each weekday morning, enrichment each weekday afternoon, and travel in Spain during the weekends, all covered by the program by the university in Salamanca. They'll be earning college credits as well as credit toward their Prouty diploma. And the program, it's very exciting because the program accepts students who have no Spanish all the way up to fluent Spanish speakers. Because it's a vibrant university, they're able to put the students in the correct class for each morning of instruction. And then all the afternoon enrichment is bilingual, encouraging the students to use their Spanish. Mrs. Wilk, who spoke to you the first time we talked about the trip, will be the official chaperone. Should the numbers grow, the program will be able to sponsor a second official chaperone. Either way, I intend to accompany the trip on my own financial dollar and be present in Salamanca for the 3 weeks just because I think I should be there. When David Prouty is in Spain, I think the principal should be there too. I may gain some cultural benefit myself. And if you have any other questions, I hope we've given you all the information. We'd like to come back in a couple of weeks with some ideas for fundraisers. If you approve the trip, we can start registering the students.
I think my question last time, and you might have answered it, but again, with me, it's the safety of the students. The families they're staying with, are they all Corey checked?
Oh, beyond Corey checked. They're all employees of the program.
Okay.
But mostly,
I think that's what you said last.
I think it's very few families. Mostly it is widows and older people who do this as an income source. So they're actually beyond Coreyed. They're Coreyed, they're employed, they do this year after year, and they're known to the program.
Okay.
But we, of course, will be there to keep an eye on
Right.
things, so.
Yes, do you have any idea how many students have expressed interest today?
I believe there is around 10 students who are all ready to sign, and once we can more actively recruit as an official and approved trip, we'd love to see double that. We'd love to take 20 students with us.
Is it open to Or do they have to be in a Spanish class, or?
They do not. They just have to be freshman, junior,
Okay.
freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior at Proudy.
When is the 3 weeks?
It is not the first week of July next year, but the second, third, and fourth week of July.
Thank you.
Just another question about the ratio. So does it have to be one teacher per 10 students? Is that like a requirement? Like if you were to get, let's say, 13 students, would there still only be one?
They pay for one student per 10 students, much like the study abroad trips that we do with EF Tours. For, I believe that's each 12 students, they give you one free chaperone.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons I thought it was important that someone just make a commitment to be there.
Right.
I'm planning to rent an apartment and just be there for the entire month in case anything.
Any other questions? Looking for a motion to approve the David Proudy High School Spain trip. Do I have a motion?
So moved?
Motion by Robert,
Second.
second by Michael. All those in favor?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye.
This is really
Thank you.
exciting. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, thank you.
And hopefully it'll be something we can continue doing perhaps every other year. While I'm up here, can I talk about the student representatives? So
Sure.
I don't have to come back?
Absolutely.
I'm so sorry they weren't able to come tonight. Ashley is at cheer camp this week, and Faye had to work. They're still in their summer hours, but they have already put on their calendars the meetings for the year, and I think you'll be very pleased to meet them next meeting.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, for informational purposes only, Knox Trail Middle School is a 5th grade trip to the Science Center. Knox Trail Middle School is a 6th grade trip to Patriot Place. Knox Trail Middle School will have a 7th grade trip to Lowell Mills, as well as Knox Trail 8th grade will have their New York City trip that I'm sure they're planning now.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may, so the Wire Village students, as well as any other trips that may be forthcoming, we need the faculty members to get back in and the students to get back in to kind of organize the remaining trips. But this is strictly informational, as I know there's been questions around field trips in the past, so that everybody understands. Operationally, we are looking at our field trips and making sure that we provide enriching opportunities for our students throughout, not only the region, but should we leave, the votes are thoughtful and mindful, should we leave the state or go to another country like Spain, everybody has the same information, but we're really working hard to kind of review operationally what we're doing and how we do it. This year, where we have some new administration coming online as well, especially at the middle school, we'll be kind of vetting and seeing where we can kind of carve out different opportunities in the future. But it has not been lost on our administrative team and our leadership team that we constantly want to be looking for opportunities where there's good matches and where we can kind of do similar opportunities in Spencer and East Brookfield in the elementary years. We want to do that when possible. But we have had that dialogue and talked about that at length. And I don't want anyone here to think that it has not been on our radar screen. So I appreciate the patience. It's just with Wire Village, we needed a little more time to get everybody back from summer break, so to speak. So that's the only reason you're not seeing it here this evening. But we will be having that information for you in the future in upcoming meetings.
Thank you.
Yes.
Fundraisers, Knox Trail Middle School Magazine Drive / cookie sales, beginning October 5th, 2018. Is somebody speaking about that, or is that just informational? Informational. Okay. David Proudy High School junior class, Mrs. Soder.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
I'm Sandy Soder. I'm the junior class advisor, one of them at David Proudy High School. So this year, starting the first week of school, we're going to be running a fundraiser called Popcornopolis. So everything will be passed out the first week. We will be getting 50% profit, And it's going to support the juniors. This year we'll have the prom coming up, and then senior year we'll have our senior trip. All the popcorn, once it comes in, will be passed out right when school's going to be over, so nothing will be done during the school day. So I'm just looking for approval for that.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion to approve the junior class popcorn fundraiser, I can call it.
So moved?
Motion by Robert,
Second?
second by Patricia. All those in favor?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jason?
Yes,
Is there a
Martha?
reason we didn't have to approve the Knox Trail fundraiser? He said informational only.
I believe that's already been approved.
Approve that already?
This is a sales
Just to
beginning.
give us the date?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're just updating us.
Okay.
Sales are going to be beginning on October 5th. There's no unfinished business this evening. We have any unit leadership that would like to speak this evening?
We can't.
Citizens input. Committee comments and future agenda topics. Martha?
I just wanted to say thank you publicly to Dr. Hahi for the report that he's been sending to the
Yes.
school committee every Friday. It's been so helpful, just knowing the highlights of the week and what's going on. We haven't had that in the past, so it's very much appreciated by, I think, all of us.
Yes, thank you.
Please just don't respond. That's all I ask. And thank you for that. I'm really trying to kind of streamline the communication so you know operationally where we are each week. Heaven forbid we don't have any emergent matters that require more communication than that, but it's a way just to kind of make sure everybody is on the same page.
Very helpful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Very refreshing. Thank you.
I guess my only comment, I think we need to start thinking as a committee to reorganize a subcommittee for the superintendent evaluation. Heather?
I thought we already voted on that.
I don't remember voting on it.
Yeah.
Who were the members?
Martha, Wendy, and I.
Wendy, Martha, and Heather?
Happy to get off of a subcommittee if someone else would like to take my place, however, no offense.
Okay, so have we started doing anything with that yet?
Nope,
Okay,
but looking into it.
No.
all right, giddy up.
The three you have to be nice to.
Oh, is that how this works? Okay. Oh, boy. All right. Yeah, I look forward to working with you on the evaluation process, so please, I've already started working on the goals, actually, just for what it's worth. My coach and I kind of already had dialogue in July.
Right.
When we first met and sat down in the first content day of the program. So it's been something that was up front. So hopefully when we get together, I can kind of bring some thoughts to the table and help frame everyone, including my own thinking, in what's expected for goal setting.
I did just get a text message from my executive assistant. The magazine drive does need a vote this evening. It was not voted on last month. So she keeps close minutes.
Thank you, Miss.
So did you guys want to talk about it before we vote on it, or? You know, I mean.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So we're looking for a motion to approve the Knox Trail Middle School magazine drive and cookie sales.
So moved.
Motion by Heather,
Second.
second by Wendy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you to my executive assistant, our executive assistant. Again, tennis courts look great, everything's looking great, a lot of good things happening.
Mr. Chair.
Wendy?
Just for to clear up some confusion for next year, I've had a lot of comments about kindergarten and how they're not included on, like, any district calendar. So there's a lot of confusion of when start date was, and so for next year, if we can just maybe include specifically preschool, kindergarten on the district website, start dates. I know we received a open house for Wire Village, so a lot of people thought kindergarten was included in that, and then we received a separate open house for kindergarten, which is a different day than the Wire Village, and then the school bus orientation for kindergarten was a third day. If we can try and condense this a little bit to help working parents and put all this on the district website, would be very helpful, clear up some confusion.
Whatever you want to do. It's all up to you.
Yeah. May I, Mr. Chair? So thank you for that, because I did see some commentary back to the, one of the pages on that exact feedback, and that is something that actually helped me kind of frame and reframe some of the posts and commentary, so that people had clear communication on what the dates were for open houses for preschool at East Brookfield, the kindergarten open house for Wire Village, and the kindergarten open house for East Brookfield. So they're all separate events.
Right.
But you're correct, they were not captured in the original calendar. I couldn't change the calendar. I'm sorry. But it's not for a lack of effort. But I do think that is good feedback that is really appreciated, because as the new guy coming online, as soon as I got it, I went, oh, what a great catch. So I do think that's something for all of us as a governance team to kind of work on and make sure as we go forward with next year's calendar. I believe this year's calendar was approved April 10th. So to your commentary, we just need to capture that this next time around and maybe be ahead of it, so that it's all right there for families. I like it all on one page too. So some of the people who wrote me offline through email or in those little private, they can snapshot me through the website. I don't know how they do that, but they get to me. And that was some of the feedback I also received. So I want to acknowledge that, yeah, we're sensitive to that, and we will put it all in that one sheet. I think it's just best practice for us. And,
if it's possible to condense it, I know there's 3 different dates for like kindergarten, school bus. You know, for working parents, that's tough to try and get to everything within a 2-week period. So if it can be the same day, you know, that'd be fantastic.
Yep.
For your reference.
And again, I want to thank, I don't know who wrote me, so they were very patient with me, and I appreciate it. I just wanted to say thank you, because that's the same feedback. And so as we go forward with our calendar and we bring it forward to committee to consider, it is something we're going to have to make sure we capture on one sheet.
Yeah.
Or, you know, kind of streamlining the dates for parents and families of young children in particular. So, yeah.
All right.
I also just want to thank the parents, with some side parents that were painting at the Wire Village playground, just doing the Foursquare and just making the playground, the sidewalks look good before school started. I wanted to shout out,
they do look great.
thankful to them. That's all.
Anything else?
No.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Heather,
Second.
seconded by Wendy. All those in favor? Aye. The chair votes aye. Thank you very much for coming this evening.
Yeah, good, thank you.